The hospital room smelled like bleach and sweat. Machines hummed, monitors blinked. My wife was pale, sweating, gripping the bed rail as nurses prepped her. I held our son's hand, the boy clutching tighter than usual. He stared at her stomach, his face drained of color. Then, in the smallest whisper, he said, "We have to leave. Now." My throat tightened. Why? We just arrived. He didn't look at me, didn't blink. His eyes stayed locked on her belly like it was something unnatural. "Just trust me, please." The urgency in his voice shook me more than the machines did. It wasn't fear of hospitals. He'd been here before. This was different. Instinct. I looked at my wife. She forced a smile, weak, almost trembling. But something about it, something about the way her eyes avoided mine, sent a chill sliding down my spine. I squeezed my son's hand once, firm, and without a word, I let him out. I didn't know why I listened, not then, but that night became the first crack in a wall I thought was solid. At home, silence filled the rooms. My son sat curled on the couch, refusing to speak. I pressed him, gently at first, then sharper. Finally, he whispered, "That's not my brother." His words hit like a blade between my ribs. "What do you mean?" I asked. He wouldn't explain, just shook his head. I told myself he was confused, overwhelmed. But the way he said it, cold, certain, unsettled me. Later, I lay awake in the dark, my wife absent from the house. She was still at the hospital. I replayed everything. Her late nights, unexplained phone calls, sudden secrecy with her phone, excuses I'd accepted. My mind clawed at itself. I wanted to trust her, but I couldn't ignore him. When a 7-year-old looks at his mother's unborn child and says it doesn't belong, something inside you breaks, and a thought you never wanted creeps in. What if he's right? The next week, she brought the baby home, a boy, fragile, red, crying. She beamed, exhausted but glowing. I forced a smile, pretended. But when I held him, something inside me stiffened. His eyes weren't mine. His hair wasn't mine. His blood felt foreign. I said nothing. I waited. At night when she slept, I searched. Phone records, bank statements, messages hidden in apps she thought I didn't know about. There it was. Threads of conversations with a man I'd never heard of. Affection disguised as old friend. Hotel receipts filed under work trips. My chest burned, but my face stayed calm. She never saw it. I ordered a test kit online, collected samples quietly. My son noticed, asked no questions. His silence told me he already knew more than he should. Waiting for the results was worse than death. Every minute stretched, dripping poison into my veins. I looked at her and saw a stranger pretending to be my wife. I watched her kiss my son goodnight and wondered how many lies her lips had carried before they touched him. I kept smiling. I kept silent. But inside I was sharpening a knife made of truth. The envelope arrived on a gray morning, plain, clinical, heavy in my hands. I locked myself in my office and opened it. Lines, percentages, words that didn't care about feelings. The baby was not mine. I sat still. The clock ticked. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. Instead, I felt something colder than rage, a silence so deep it became armor. That evening, I walked into the living room. She was rocking the baby. I handed her the folded paper. She looked at it, unfolded, read. Her lips parted, trembling. Color drained from her face. I can explain. I cut her off with a single look. Calm, dead calm. She broke. Tears, apologies, fragments of excuses spilling. The room filled with her noise. But I was silent, watching, because silence wounds deeper than shouting ever could. Days passed before I spoke more than a sentence to her. I let her unravel, let her choke on her own guilt. She begged, claimed mistakes, claimed confusion. I planned. Not for violence, for something cleaner. One evening, I gathered her parents, her sister, my son. I placed the DNA results on the table, said nothing more than, "This is the truth." The silence that followed crushed her. Their eyes burned into her. The weight of judgment was heavier than any punishment I could design. She sobbed, pleading for me to deny it, to forgive, to pretend. I looked at her and said, "You buried this family the moment you betrayed it. I'm just showing them the grave." Her cries echoed. My son held my hand, his grip steady now. No fear, no whispers, only certainty. And I knew then she wasn't the one who had saved us. He was. I left her there, drowning in her shame, surrounded by the ruins of her lies. The house was quiet when my son and I packed. No fights, no screams, just the stillness of a life severed cleanly. As we drove away, he asked softly, "Are we safe now?" I looked at him in the mirror. His eyes, my eyes, stared back, steady, unflinching. "Yes," I said, "because we were." Betrayal doesn't end with blood or rage. It ends with silence, truth, and distance. And as the hospital faded from memory, so did the woman I once thought I knew. I would never see her the same again, and I never needed to.